This week on the podcast, we're going to talk about 5 things that retirees over 70 regret based on another YouTube video. So let's get into it and check it out with Donna and Jim.
This is Donna and this is Jim, each with a family that had to begin again. As they've brought their worlds together, they've learned a lot about blending families and finances along the way. Now, they're here to help you take on this new chapter with clarity and confidence. This is Wisdom and Wealth, financial clarity for families in transition.
Hey everybody, welcome into the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Wisdom and Wealth. And we're going to kind of take a look at this video that another YouTuber did. It's gotten a lot of views, very interesting. An elderly gentleman himself who talked with some other folks all over the age of 70 about some of the things they now feel like they regret in retirement. So I thought it'd be good to kind of get your analysis, Donna and Jim, and your take on it. Things that you guys see in your practice with folks in this stage of life as well. So welcome in, Jim. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Hanging in there. Looking good. Looking forward to talking with you a little bit. And Donna, how are you this week?
We're doing well. Thank you for checking. I really like this one, being that we're putting ourselves out there on YouTube a little more. Gotten me out looking at YouTubes and following, and this is a good one. This one resonates.
Yeah, it was an interesting video and seemed like a very nice fella and seemed very personable. So very kind of cool to check out that take as well. And so let's just dive in and talk about the 5 things. So I'll kick it off and let you guys just kind of, banter back and forth with me a little bit on what you see and what makes sense to you in that. So number 1, again, these are folks that are already in their 70s. They wish they had retired earlier. Not a surprise. I think a lot of people probably get there, right? And they're like, hey, this is not bad. I wish I'd have done this sooner.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too are really waiting until retirement to then quote unquote live their lives, right? To go take that trip that they wanted to do, to take up that hobby that they wanted to be active in, to volunteer where they wanted to. And then they actually wind up saying that, if they didn't save enough, right, they really can't take those, right? Or maybe health of someone themselves or someone they love gets in the way and they have to actually help care for them. And they're not able to action those things. Where if maybe they retired a little bit earlier, they would have had maybe just 1 or 2 more years. That's just been fantastic. What do you think, Jim? We've seen a lot of people pass around early for us.
Yeah. A lot of people passing young and or just physically, you beat your body up over the years, depending on what kind of job you have. And then you have the means to do it. You just don't have the strength or the health to actually do all the travel.
And if you look at these 5 things, they really, just like about everything in the retirement world, Donna, right? They all kind of do play together a little bit. You could easily kind of draw a little line back to the previous one and make little points on that. And so we'll kind of keep tackling through those and take a look at those. All right. So the next one was they wish they had spent more when they first retired. Now, I'm curious to get what your initial thought is when you read that, because mine, to me, said they didn't feel confident that they could spend their money in retirement. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, for myself, when I'm doing a financial plan for many of my clients, we are then predicting what is to spend in retirement, right? Including things like, do we want to travel? How often do we want to travel? And do we want it to be reoccurring? We might have 2 travel goals. One from age 70, if that's when you retire, until age 80, that you're going every year and you're going to spend $10,000, right? Nice trip. Yeah. And then from 80 on, it's every other year, and maybe it's 3,000 to 4,000, right? Because we want to travel locally, or we've got grandbabies that we want to stay close to. So we can actually predict those costs with inflation, and we can save for them now. So that almost gives the retiree a permission to say yes to the trip instead of trying to figure out if they can make it. Because there's a difference between saving for your basic cost of living in retirement, as well as saving for goals like travel or being able to keep the house and downsize later. Those are big things.
Yeah. What do you think, Jim? How did that hit you? Does it hit you a different way than me or the same?
Well, Donna, definitely, she's the planner. So she thinks long term, and I'm more of enjoying yourself now within reason. I mean, I really don't spend a lot on me. I always say doesn't cost a lot to be me, but I just look at it like I don't look that far in the future. Might not be there. So, I would never want to look back and say, I wish I would have done something, or I wish I would have had that. Or, and that's more where I'm at. So I think Donna and I are a really good balance that way because, we play off each other.
And I think something that's really important too is like the discussions that we've had too. Like we have a larger house because we have 6 kids under one roof, right? And do we need that house in retirement? But as we're actually making the house our own because it's something that we can customize and fix and make improvements to, are we going to want to leave, right? By the time we get the house, quote unquote, the way we like it, might be retirement age, right? And we might want to stay. So then do we also have to go ahead and plan for those home improvement goals, right? To modify the house for maybe aging in place, putting an elevator in, right? Or putting in just one of those ramps instead of steps up the front porch. And being able to do that while we're in good health, while we have the income, instead of later, trying to be proactive instead of reactive. That's something we plan for also.
Yeah. Well, if you guys put an elevator in, you got to film that because that would be certainly interesting to put in.
I already know where it's going.
You don't know where it's going? Okay.
No, I do know where it's going.
Oh, you know where it's going?
Oh, I know exactly where it's going to be.
Oh, okay. You're already planning it out. You already got it.
I like it now.
It's beautiful, like 3 stories with like winding staircases. And when my mom first saw the house, she's like, "Oh, we'll just put one of those tube elevators right in the middle." I'm like, "Of this beautiful house." So Jim's taking it out back, aren't you, Bob?
Okay.
Yes, I am.
There you go. Nice.
I could use it now. It's hard on them steps are hard now.
Well, fair enough. All right.
The dog's pressing the buttons to get up and down. They're lazy.
That could be interesting. Well, since you were talking about, hard going up and down those stairs, that actually works really well for the next one, which is the folks felt like they wish they had taken better care of their health. And this could be, a simple thing, right? I mean, I saw an interesting, I think it's an Instagram channel where it's a lady I want to say she's in her 50s or 60s. And if you check this out and I'm wrong, please don't yell at me. And her mom's in her 90s. And all they do is simple little videos saying, hey, keep moving and keep active, right? So they're not like doing the crazy fitness stuff, but it's the mom's talking about being 90 years old and just having movement every day so that she doesn't kind of regret her health and so that she can kind of be self-reliant. And I think that's probably what some of the folks are talking about here. And again, thinking about spending more or thinking about retiring earlier, if you are healthy, it kind of makes that all seem more appealing too.
Jim, I'm going to let you take this one because you come from an industry where you've pretty much beaten up your body for many, many years. Just honestly, being a carpenter, being out there up and down, being out in the elements, carrying heavy things. Like, I see you try to get up in the morning, right? Like there's a groan and literally you are regretting having to put your feet on the ground each morning to stand up.
That's rough.
Well, obviously I'm not a doctor. But I do have a theory. If you don't go to the doctor, there's never anything wrong with you.
Okay.
I never hear.
You never hear about it. That's true. That's true.
So Donna forces me to get checkups now. And, I always make fun of her for it. I said, because my doctor didn't even know who my primary was, and it was him. Because there was no file. For 15 years, there was nothing. Yeah. But no, I think keeping active, you have to.
You got to keep moving, right?
The cardio going. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had minor back surgery, and if I take a down day and don't do very much, I can hardly move by later that afternoon or early evening. So it's like I got to get up, got to keep moving, and I think that's a valuable piece as you're aging anyway, because at some point you are going to be 80 or 85, God willing, right? And even getting up and down out of the chair, how many of us have loved ones we see struggle with that kind of thing? So I think the health question is certainly important.
No, I was saying we have classic cars, and if anyone ever owns one, if they just sit and you don't run them and don't drive them, they go bad. So it's better to get them out there. That'll keep the longevity going. You got to keep things moving, keep things lubricated. If you're just letting it sit in the garage, it ain't starting up.
That's a great point. I'm going to take the Cougar for a ride as soon as we're done with this podcast today. So, but anyway, Donna, you were going to say?
I have one of my clients that are she's a widow. She's in her upper 70s, and her kids just want her to sell the house. It's just big and lots of steps and the whole bit. And she refuses because it was her grandmom that lived in the Bronx that had a 3-story house, and her grandmom said it was those steps that kept her young and kept her moving well into her 90s. So she's like, no, I'm good. I'm keeping this house because that's going to keep me up and moving. Yeah. So it's the way it works.
Well, and I get the kids side of it too, right? They're worried that she, could fall or whatever, and if maybe someone's not there. So, it's finding that balance, right? And especially in dealing not only with your own plan and strategy, but also, with your loved ones, because my mom's 83 and she definitely struggles with some stability. So having her in a place where she's not doing stairs was paramount for us, right? So everything's a little bit different. But I do encourage her, walk up and down the hall every day, so make sure you're getting that movement in. So that's certainly a valuable piece I definitely agree with. The next one on there, number 4, was they wish they had taken up a hobby. And this will be interesting between you two guys. So, Donna, I get the impression that you work a lot because you love what you do, right? And so a lot of people, and maybe Jim, you're the same way, but I think maybe even carpentry could be kind of sometimes viewed as a hobby because it can be a work thing, but it can be a hobby. I think some people are their identity is so wrapped up in what they do for a living that when they get to retirement, they don't know how to turn that off. And maybe that's what these folks were talking about. They wish they had something that was just a different animal, something they could sink their teeth into in retirement.
So if anyone has followed my social media over the past year, they've learned that I've learned to golf. Why am I learning to golf? Because Jim told me to not work 60 to 80 hours a week.
All right,
to
Jim.
Get out. Take 2 hours to 4 hours a week, get out into the sunlight, spend time with the people I love, and just go do it. Why would I never learn to golf before I take up that hobby? One, it was expensive in my mind. I'm a girl from Northeast Philadelphia, and well, there wasn't a lot of green space back where we grew up, correct, Jim? We didn't know people who golfed. But then I take it back. My dad did, right? Because my dad had a stressful job. He always had a small business on his own. And when he had time down, he needed time down. It's probably what made him a better husband. Not that he was the best one. Or probably a better dad, right? Let's just be honest of who Phil was. Great guy, but still. But those are the things that I had to pick up and learn how to do. But also, when I got out there, it was so nice. I was taking better care of my health, right? Because I want to be able to swing the club for 4 hours. But the people I have met along the way and the people that I reach out to saying hey, I'm learning golf, want to come with me? When have I ever sat down and put 4 hours aside to spend time with somebody I haven't seen in 5 years? How amazing is that? So less than the hobby, it's ability to stay social, it's ability to stimulate your brain, it's ability to stay healthy, all wrapped into one. So what's your hobby, Jim?
Well, I don't golf. I've never even held golf clubs unless I'm carrying hers to the car. I thought she just needed something for herself.
Sure.
I actually I like working on the house.
Yeah.
I enjoy working, of course, not everything, not the emergency stuff. I'm talking about the fun stuff.
Right.
So to me, if just setting money aside for me to do something to change it up aesthetically and do work stuff like that, I actually enjoy that. Plus I get to be home while I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I think there are certainly careers like that, right? Where you can be hey, I can make a living at this, but I can also, kind of shift it a little bit. We were just talking about cars, right? I'm sure there's many mechanics out there who are I don't want to work on another whatever car because that's their daily grind, but let me get my hands on this other kind of engine or other kind of thing, and they're probably super excited about that, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I could definitely see that along the way. And to Donna's point, having something, Donna, so many financial advisors I talk to all over the place, it's always the same thing. What are you retiring to? If you're retiring to the porch to just whittle and that's what you want, great. But if you're doing that as the only fallback because you can't do anything else, then you're not going to be happy, right? So what are you retiring to?
I think one of the best referrals I ever got was from a current client who sent a new client over. And I was like, what did she share that made you say, okay, I'm going to go work with Donna? She's like, yeah, one of your pieces of advice to the client was go away for a vacation and do one of those immersion weeks, right? Where you learn to paint. That's something she'd always wanted to do. I was like, you have enough money to be able to do that and do it now when you need the break. Right? Because she was just overwhelmed post-divorce, needed some time to herself. And no, it wasn't the money. Should we have maybe thrown that into a Roth IRA? Maybe, right? But she needed that break. And that's what rejuvenated her. And then she was able to get a better promotion at work a month or two later. I think because she was clear of mind, my own opinion. And I don't know if a lot of financial advisors would say, pick up that hobby, right? Spend a little on public golf courses once a quarter if that's what you need to, because we are so on the math of savings for the goals, right?
Yeah.
But there's a humanity to it that we need to really plug into.
That's a great point. Well, the last one, again, they all kind of play together, is these folks wish they had traveled more. Well, if your health was in better shape and you felt confident in your spending plan, and you retired earlier, you'd probably be able to do this. Well, they all kind of play together. So if that's on the list, again, all of these pieces come back to why it's important to have a good strategy, have a good plan so that you can do whatever. I mean, you just mentioned the lady who decided to do some traveling. Same thing.
And I think a lot of it too is also identify where your family structure is, right? Like we have 6 kids. Most likely they're all not going to live in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Some of them are going to be all over the place. And Jim and I, when we talk about retirement goals, I don't think travel is a big one for us, is it, bud? No.
Yeah.
But seeing my grandkids is going to be huge, right? So if I'm going to have to travel to see them, then I need to be saving for it. And I also need to be preparing my retirement age, right? Do I want to retire younger or older? Because do I want the free time to be able to go see those grandbabies or the free time to get those bucket list trips?
Yeah.
These are important things that are bigger than just the saving for a goal. It's the discussion of being able to do it. Time is the freedom that we can't put dollars on.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great way of looking at it, right? Because even if you're not big on travel, at some point, travel may come calling you because you're going to go see the kids or grandkids or whatever the case is. And then at some point, age is going to catch up and you're not going to feel as comfortable, heading out and getting on an airplane or whatever the case might be because the body hurts or whatnot. So it all plays together, and that's why it's important to have a strategy and a plan and really kind of, build this whole thing out and look at all the X's and O's, the math, but also look at some of the life moments as well. So as always, if you need some help, reach out to Donna and the team. You can find them online at seftonfinancial.com. That's seftonfinancial.com. And of course, you can also just reach out to her by phone at 215-948-3945. And just check the show notes in the description of today's show. You can find all the information in there. Makes it a lot easier for you. So guys, thanks for hanging out, breaking this down. I appreciate it. And have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
We'll see you next time here on Wisdom and Wealth with Donna and Jim.
Registered representative offering securities through Cetera Financial Specialists LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Cetera Investment Advisors LLC. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity. Sefton Financial LLC and Cetera are not affiliated. Sefton Financial is located at 8200 Flowertown Avenue, Suite 1B in Windmore, Pennsylvania, 19038.